celebrations of the 57th Convocation. As part of the Convocation program, every year we have the prestigious Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture, and today's lecture is 49 in the series. The Lal Bahadur Shastri Lecture was initiated by Indian Agriculture Research Institute to pay homage to one of the most illustrious sons of India, the late Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji, the former Prime Minister of India. During his Prime Ministership, Shastri Ji realized the importance of agriculture in transforming the lives of the country's poor people. His famous slogan, Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, reminds us of his vision about agriculture and its role in mitigating poverty and bringing overall prosperity of the nation. I now take the proud privilege of inviting the dignitaries onto the dais, the chairman of the function, the very eminent Dr. Pancham Singh Ji, President NAS and ex-Director General at IARI, so kindly grace the dais. I feel also privileged in inviting the eminent speaker of this session, Dr. Renu Swarup, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. I also invite Dr. A.K. Singh, Director and Vice Chancellor IARI, and Dr. Rashmi, Dean and Joint Director Education IARI, to kindly join the dignitaries onto the dais. On behalf of IARI, once again I welcome you all, dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, for the prestigious 49th Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture on a very important and relevant topic, the new technology revolution, opportunities for improved agriculture. So before we start the program, I would like to call upon our postgraduate students to render the invocation song. for creating this serene atmosphere by this melodious prayer. As a mark of respect to the late Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, I now request the dignitaries to kindly light the auspicious ceremonial lamp and to pay the floral tribute to the illuminous soul of India. May I now invite our beloved director, Dr. A.K. Singh, to formally welcome and appraise the audience about this lecture.
Chairperson of today's function, Professor Shastri ji, former Secretary there and DG IARI and presently President National Academy of Agriculture Sciences. The speaker of today's function, respected Dr. Renu Sarup ji, Secretary Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, Dr. Rasmi Agrawal, Dean and Joint Director Education, IARI, and the distinguished personalities sitting here. I will take the name of very special person who is here, Srimati Neera Shastri ji, who is daughter-in-law of Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, Professor R.V. Singh ji, Dr. H.S. Gupta ji, Dr. S.N. Puri ji, Dr. Anupam Verma ji, all have been associated to IARI at different occasions. Many of you have been the director here and even our chairperson of today's function. We introduce him often as Secretary there and DG ICR. He was telling nobody tells that I am director of IARI. So we take the pride that you are here, sir, and you contributed a lot to the IARI and to the Fraternity of Agricultural Sciences. This is the 49th Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture, and we have got a very distinguished guest, Secretary Department of Biotechnology, as the speaker. And the series of annual lectures was instituted by the Indian Agriculture Research Institute in 1968 as a mark of our respect to one of the most illustrious and exemplary sons of the nation and the second Prime Minister of independent India, late Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji, who died in harness while bargaining for peace and tranquility on the border between India and Pakistan. Shastri Ji symbolizes the very simplicity of Indian life in a vast cultural milieu, in the triumph of a sovereign nation striving to meet the aspirations of its people. He is the epitome of our national pride. We cannot forget the slogan Jai Jawan Jai Kisan given by him, which even today are cited on many occasions. And it gets added with some other abbreviations also, when Bajpayee said that Jai Jawan Jai Kisan and Jai Vigyan. And even our present Prime Minister has also added Jai Vigyan. That again, the technology in the recently held Science Congress. So his concern all the time was for the rural people, and we know him as a person who was belonging to the common man, the man who lives in the villages, and he always strived for agriculture. I was seeing a photograph here at the IARI campus when he is seen discussing about agriculture in this campus itself. We have got a building also in his name here at IARI campus, and we feel proud that an award was instituted in his name. There are many stories about his simplicity, the way he used to live, even when he became Prime Minister. And I was listening to one day television, and Anil Shastri was speaking on television. He said that even when he became Prime Minister, he used to wear the khadi kurta. When many of us know who wear the khadi dress, that it gets torn here at the neck, just below the collar. And even when it was torn, he used to keep it that I will wear this in the winter season, because it will be covered by a coat and other things. So he was such a simple man. He thought of a person who is living in the most poorest condition, the most remote places. And accordingly, he brought all the behavior reflecting from himself also, that whether he is a person who lives in the villages or not. And accordingly, he devised the policies of the government of India. And even we attribute that the Harit Kranti, which came into and which we talk about a lot, there was enormous contribution from him. And when we appeal that we have to be on fast one day, and that again the entire nation was behind him to celebrate and to save our country from malnutrition and even the hunger, and also fighting the wars on the border. So he was a different kind of person, and we find very rare personalities like him nowadays. But he was one who belongs to the villages, who belongs to a common man, a person of simplicity. Now the prestigious Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Award, which is held annually, have been delivered in the past by Dr. G.B.K. Rao, Professor D.K. Lakadwala, Professor C.H. Hemanta Rao, Professor M.S. Swaminathan, Sri Jayan Patel, Professor Y.K. Alag, and Dr. D.N. Tiwari. The first lecture in 1968 was by Dr. Bikram Sarabhai on the topic, How Green is Our Revolution. The other prominent speakers include Dr. B. Sivaraman, Dr. Kurian, Sri V. Shankar, Dr. R. W. Cummins, Dr. M. G. K. Menon, Dr. R. M. Maselkar, Dr. G. Padmanabhan, Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia, Dr. G. Madhavan Nair, Dr. M. B. Rao, Dr. Deepak Pentel, Dr. Manga Rai, And it's a long list of names. And all the illustrious people who have been doing excellent work in the field of agricultural sciences, they have been coming and they have been giving tribute to Sri Bahadur Shastri ji and delivering on the science aspect of development which is taking place all around. This is the importance of the lecture series which has been taking place here, and we all the time feel honored because it's not the occasion which only symbolizes remembering a personality, but again infuses a lot of knowledge and wisdom to the younger generation, the students in particular who are here. Before I introduce Dr. Punjab Singh on behalf of the Institute and all those present here, I welcome Dr. Punjab Singh and also the speaker of today with bouquet of flowers. The chairperson of today's function, Dr. Punjab Singh, probably doesn't need introduction, but I will do that. I will read some of the things which are not known to the younger generations, but at the same time I would like to welcome with bouquet of flowers to the family member of Shastri ji. Srimati Meera Shastri ji, daughter-in-law of late Bahadur Shastri ji. Dr. Punjab Singh ji has been, to start with, he was first the director at Indian Grassland and Fodder Research Institute at Jhansi, then joint director IARI, then vice chancellor at Jabalpur, then vice chancellor at BHU. Presently he is Chancellor Rani Lakshmi Bai Agriculture University, Jhansi, and the President NAS. He has been decorating so many positions, and I was going through the biodata. He has been President of Agronomy Science for 3 terms, and many of such societies for not one but many times. And we find a person who has been contributing in science and more particularly in building the institutions. We find that the Jabalpur, when we went into the kind of conditions which were there in the university, and even IGFRI, when you went there in IGFRI, the kind of the ecosystem which was existing, and you brought it into the shape and also the limelight at the national level. And again at IARI as a director, joint director, and then at the national level as secretary there and DG ICR, your contributions have been immense. And it is known to everyone here. And we are also grateful that you have been associating IARI in all your endeavors. Even the forthcoming Agriculture Science Congress, which is going to take place from 20th of this month, you have made the partner to IARI in the NAS associated joint program, which will be held in the IARI campus. So we are again grateful to you that you agreed to chair this very important lecture series. And we have also been getting a lot of guidance in terms of natural resource management activities in our campus, and even otherwise also when you are chairing the innovative projects fund which comes from ICAR, you have been very generous to provide support to our genomics facility and other projects which are being supported by ICR through that NFSM project. So we, on behalf of IARI and on my own behalf, sir, welcome you in this BP Paul Memorial Auditorium. And we are really honored that you are here, and we hope that your remarks on this occasion will be greatly beneficial. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request the esteemed chairperson of this session, Dr. Panjab Singh Ji, to introduce the speaker of today's lecture.
Good morning, good afternoon rather, sorry. Let me at the outset say how pleased I am to be here today for a very distinguished lecture in name of a very, very eminent and visionary person who lived for people and died for people, late Sri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji. I feel proud that he was from Banaras and I am from Banaras. And he really lived for farmers, and that is why this particular lecture series, which is normally, for agriculture scientist, for Kisan, is a real tribute to Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji. As I said, he was a farmer, lived for farmer, and did everything that he could do for farmers. So I'm really delighted to be here today to remember him, his activities, his contribution in building this new India that we're talking today. In memory of very eminent personality, we have a very eminent speaker today, Dr. Swarup, who is the Secretary to the Department of Science and Technology. Normally, there is no need to really introduce her. We have been all knowing her for years. She has been serving the science and cause of science. But for the young generation who are here, we have just come in the system, may not be knowing. So I briefly read what has been really prepared for her in 2-3 minutes. As I said, presently she is the Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. Having served in Department of Biotechnology for nearly 30 years, she was appointed Secretary last year, and she also holds the position of Chairperson Biotechnology Industry Research Assistant Council, a public sector company incorporated by the government to nurture the promotion of innovation research in biotech enterprise with a special focus on startups, which is buzzword of the day, and SMEs. A PhD in genetics and plant breeding, Dr. Swarup completed her postdoctoral at John Innes Center in Norwich in United Kingdom under Commonwealth Scholarship, and returned to India to take up the assignment of a science management in the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology in 1989. She was actively engaged in formulation of the biotechnology vision in 2001, National Biotechnology Development Strategy 2007, and Strategy 2 2015-20 as a member secretary to the expert committee. Dr. Swarup has also been closely involved in programs and activities related to bioresources development and utilization, energy sciences and women in science. She was also a member of the Task Force for Women in Science constituted by Scientific Advisory Committee to the Prime Minister. She has earlier held charge as a Managing Director, Biotechnology Industry Research Assistance Council, a public sector company incorporated by the Government of India, till she took over the charge of the chairperson of the same organization. Through biotechnology, translated research and industry academia partnership, she has supported more than 1,000 startups and entrepreneurs and nearly 500 small companies for innovating research and product development. She is a fellow of the NASI. She is also a member governing body of the National Institutes, Universities and Centers in the country, a life member of Trust, and a member of Organization for Women in Science and Department of the Developing World. She was awarded Biospectrum Person of the Year Award in 2012. Also received the National Entrepreneurship Award 2017 as the Special Jury Award recognition for the government mentor from the Ministry of Skill Development. She was also awarded the prestigious Dr. P.C. Memorial Lecture Award in 2018 by NASI. And presently, as I said, she is promoting the cause of science and technology in the country.
afternoon to all of you. Distinguished audience here, Dr. Punjab Singh, Director, very senior dignitaries sitting, Dr. R.B. Singh, Dr. Anupam Verma, Dr. Gupta, and all other seniors. I don't think I can name all the other people sitting here because we have such an illustrious list of everyone. Very fortunate to have the family of Bahadur Shastri ji. I think at the outset I have to thank IARI, the director, the dean, all other senior people for having me here today. It's indeed a very big honor. I feel humbled with this to be able to come and deliver such a prestigious lecture, which is in the memory of not just our former Prime Minister, but a Prime Minister who was so closely associated with agriculture. Very rightly said in the introductory remarks by the director that if we talk about the Jai Kisan, I mean, that it's not just a terminology that was given by him, it was actually, in true sense, the implementation of where we see the importance of the farmer in this entire growth trajectory of our country, this entire economic development of our country. When Dr. Jain called me and wanted me to come and speak on behalf of the director, requested me to be here for this, there was no way I could say no, because as has been said, not just my personal association with the IARI, but the Department of Biotechnology and our association, not just with IARI, but the entire ICR community has been so deep that I think this is just one indication of how closely we work together. And I thought it was important for me to come and meet all of you all and to bring before you the perspective from my department, from our activities, and how closely they get linked with your components. When we look at what really is the topic of my talk today, speaking to a house full of seasoned agricultural scientists, is how new technologies can really impact this. And we've seen this. It's not today that we are talking about it. It's been there. And our whole journey of agriculture has actually moved with the new technologies. So it's important for us to recognize now where do we stand in all these years. These suggestions on what the new steps could be. If you talk about agriculture, it's important, and where we stand today, we've had a lot of various targets and goals which have been set in. We had the Millennium Development Goals, but as we are positioned today, I think agriculture directly contributes to the SDG 2. It contributes to many of the SDG goals, but the direct intervention is on SDG 2. And there, if you look at it, it is mainly on trying to see how we end hunger, which is one clear indication of how we are looking at the agriculture improvement. But if you look at what the Sustainable Development Goal has indicated, while it's spoken about the nutrition aspects, it's spoken about having access to land, it's spoken about sustainable agricultural practices, what it says is we need to look at it in terms of national and international collaborations. And it's a cohesive combination of all these, which will then see how we take this forward, what really are the end goals that we are going to achieve through this. The Sustainable Development Goals have outlined it very appropriately for us, and that is because we do know what our growing population is, we know what the demands on this population are. But for a country like India, which is really an agrarian economy that we talk about, we know that currently figures would vary, but I think it's approximately 16% of the GDP that we are focusing focusing on. But we also do understand this, that more than half our population is employed in this very important sector. The present government, we've had a number of national missions which have been announced, and of course doubling the farmers' income is one of the key missions with which we are trying to see how we take it forward. There have been a lot of challenges, there have been a lot of demands, and with this, as I said, the new technology development has come forward as we take it ahead. When we look at new technologies, when we look at pathways for these new technologies, it's then important to see that how do we look at enabling policies which help us to tackle these challenges and take it forward. And for this, it's also important to see that what are those opportunities for which we have not been able to bring in those enabling policies. Where really are those bottlenecks which are hindering the movement of those technologies? And I think that is really what we are wanting to see as we address. We all know that agriculture has occupied, as I said, a very, very important position within the country. And when we look at this, this generally has been a sector which has got a lot of attention. But if you look at technologies, to a great extent, it has been deprived of somewhere the new innovations, etc., for various reasons. But now, over the last couple of years, we are seeing this changing. And I think that is where we want to then understand that if we are looking today at a complete revolution, if we talk about the economic growth, we talk about an industrial 4.0, where are we positioned within agriculture? Is there really an agriculture 4.0 that we are talking about? Because if you're talking about an industrial 4.0, there has to be parallelly an agriculture 4.0 which keeps pace with that. Because if you are not in pace with the revolution which is happening within the country, we would have just stayed back and not been able to move on. At this point of time, it's very important for us then, and I bring to your attention a quote which Norman Borlaug, the father of our Green Revolution, had said, that there are no miracles in agriculture production. We have to keep that in mind. It's not, when we talk about the IT sector, we talk about industrial revolution sector, we talk about data sciences, those could be fast-tracked technology developments. Agriculture requires a much larger time frame, requires a much larger initiative as we take it forward. And then it has to be a combination of tools, technologies, policies, strategies, all combined together before we can take it on. The complexities of some of the regulatory pathways are important for us to understand when we look at policies. And that is where we are trying to see how we position ourselves. If you try to look at what the whole growth trajectory of this agriculture sector has been right from the beginning, you will see that we have had, as I said, many technology interventions with which we have seen success happening. The whole area, if you look at, and the Bengal famine is something which we know that how that triggered off the whole new technology development in terms of seeing where we would want to bring in sectors. The whole vision that was outlined by Gandhiji in terms of having an hunger-free India. We're talking about a sustainable development goal today about ending hunger, but we had Gandhiji who actually spoke about a hunger-free India, even at that point of time at Quit India. I think that itself is something which brought in the entire policy for the country to see how we move. And if you see from where we were at that point of time, where it was literally a ship-to-mouth situation, and today we talk about a right-to-food situation. How has that happened? It hasn't just happened by itself. It's happened because of the technology revolution that we've talked about. In our time, if you look at it, the Green Revolution is something which all of us very clearly and distinctly remember. And this Green Revolution, that is what really brought in the agricultural self-sufficiency within our country. The whole nation looked at adopting new technologies, be it the high-yielding varieties, you look at various seeds, improved fertilizers, the whole integrated nutrient management, pest management program that came in. These were all interventions which came in from there. And today when we talk about where we stand today, it's also that becomes the basis. That's why we talk about a green revolution, an evergreen revolution, and a greener revolution as we move on. With the passing of time, obviously the consumption patterns changed within the country. And as the consumption pattern changed, the high value agricultural crops that we brought into the system changed. And that's how, over the years, the demands that we've had in terms of increased productivity, production have gone up. And this requires a faster pace of technology intervention as we move on. When we look at innovation, when we look at technology interventions and we talk about, it's very important to remember that there is a famous quote which says that innovation does not always come in the form of a new product or a technology. Sometimes it is actually a new way of addressing an old problem. So many times when we are looking at innovation, we want to see what is innovation. Are we geared up for innovation? We say, where is the new product? Where is the new technology? It's not always that. You're only finding a simpler or a newer way of how do you address that same problem. Many times it may just be a policy intervention that you brought in to take forward something which has been standing at that point. That itself is an innovation. So it's an innovation in terms of the implementation, innovation in terms of the strategy, innovation of course in terms of the technology and tools that we go on. So I think these are very important and crucial factors that we have to keep in mind, that what really are we talking about in terms of the innovation when we talk about looking at the new revolution. Is it that we are looking at only those technologies which can then further the cause of our improved activities, or are we trying to say what are those policies that we take forward and we take it ahead in terms of being recognized? Coming to newer innovations and technologies, and I'll stay on that for a certain point of time, and that is of course biotechnology is key to it. We know that biotechnology has contributed over these years for not only improved agriculture, whether it's tackling biotech, abiotic stress, whether it's responding to the changing environmental conditions, but it has brought in a large number of tools and processes. But when you look at new technology interventions, there are three clear verticals that you have to focus on if you have to take it forward. And that is, of course, the need for continuous R&D for newer innovations, which is very important and critical. But keeping pace with that, it's equally important that we focus in terms of building improved capacities, both in terms of human resource and infrastructure. A new technology cannot move forward till you have with it the required expertise in terms of human resource and infrastructure. And I think that again becomes critical. And the third most important vertical is implementation of this at the grassroots level. And for that, this cannot be a sector which can be taken alone by any one stakeholder. All stakeholders have to connect. So connecting the ecosystems, connecting the academia, the industry, the startups, the entire ecosystem with the policymakers, with the access to market, those are crucial components. So connecting all stakeholders becomes very, very important when you look at trying to see how you can use these new technologies to their maximum potential. Now coming specifically to the technologies, when we talk about biotechnology, when we talk about newer technologies, obviously the first technology that comes to us is genetic engineering. That has been one of the revolutionary technologies which has made huge impact. The first commercial release of BT cotton in 2002, but yes, after that we have not been able to bring out any commercial releases. We've had a lot of research and we still have a lot of research going on. The department itself supports a lot of research on newer areas for improved transgenic technologies. There are crops which are ready for field trials, our mustard, brinjal, large number of them. We have not been able to take them out on large-scale field trials because of the moratorium that was put in 2010. A lot of discussions have been happening. We've been having talks about the regulatory framework that needs to be looked at. But I think one point that all of us are probably agreeing on, and there's a consensus amongst all our researcher community and policy group, is that we do have a regulatory framework which today is par with the best which is available within global standards. There is a lot of research which is going on in terms of the various crops which are ready, as I said, in public sector research. I'm not even talking about the industry-related research. There is a lot of scientific evidence which is now being built upon to be able to prove the potential of this technology in terms of giving us the desired products. But the scientific evidence is also necessary and is being worked upon many places to disprove the apprehensions which are there on this particular technology. So the Department of Biotechnology has a biosafety unit which is working closely with all the stakeholders to see that we can generate through the large number of research activities that we support sufficient scientific evidence and data to be able to drive this policy. As always, scientists are always hopeful of the endpoints of taking their research further, and we hope that we would be able to see how we can take this moving on. There have, as I said, been a lot of research which has been supported. We also have, in fact, today in some of the in the horticulture crops, and one of the technology transfers that we did with the Queensland University on banana biofortification within the ICR system. In fact, all the research activities that I talk about, be rest assured, 90% of them are within the ICR system. They would all be within the ICR institutes, the agriculture universities, and the other universities become partners as they move it forward. So this is, of course, a lot of work that has happened in the area of transgenics, and we would be able to see how we move them forward. The next main area which has been really given us a lot of dividends today is the whole area of molecular breeding. We have a large number of varieties after in fact, genetic engineering is being looked at, but a large number of improved through crop breeding, and this has been again a very good example of all agencies working together. All these varieties that you see listed here are DBT with ICR, and in many cases also the CSIR and the Department of Science and Technology and other groups who work together to be able to produce all these varieties which are today, many of them released. In fact, these are all which have been developed and most of them released to the farmers. They occupy lakhs of hectares of area, and we are seeing already the good results in dividend. But this technology is continuously now being used for newer varieties to be brought out and put into the system. And these tackle not only the Biotech and A-Biotech Express, but we also look at nutritional value. In fact, this maize which was brought out is with the vitamin A, and we have pictures, most of them, many of them actually been coming from IARI, and I'm sure many of you recognize these because they are from your own system as well, and acknowledgements to all those who've given it to give these pictures to my department for me to be able to position it here. But these are some very interesting and successful examples which give us the level of confidence that we can now move ahead with this technology. It's also important to see that, as I said right in the beginning, that when we talk about newer technologies, we also need to look at the required infrastructure and human resource for this. There have been a large number of activities that we have supported for human resource capacity building in this, along with the ICR system. We have programs that we have international collaborations. We have large international collaborations with countries like UK and Europe to take forward many of our agricultural programs, be it in terms of the capacity building or in terms of also looking at setting up joint centers for improved crop breeding. We also have, of course, the infrastructure which has been set up, and I know that IARI has their large phenotyping facility. The Department of Biotechnology has just set up its own genotyping facility. So I think these are all facilities which are being positioned so that we can then make them available not only to the academic research group, but in our emerging scene today, the startups in the industry occupy a very important position because it's a complete enterprise that we're looking at, and they would all play forward. The next area that we have not only made a lot of advancement, but India has gained a recognition in the global leadership position is the whole area of genomics, where we have been instrumental in not only getting nutritionally rich varieties, but as I said, looking at functional genomics activities to see how we can take it forward. And this has given us a lot of strength. The next generation sequencing technologies have given us opportunities for high throughput sequencing. I just spoke about the genomics and genotyping facility that we have set up. We also have now looked at, as I said, making this available to both the public and the private sector as we move on. Our first successful example was IARI's partnership with University of Delhi South Campus for doing the Indian Initiative of Rice Genome, where we have succeeded. We then moved on to the tomato genome sequencing, again great leadership which India gave, and very recently, and I can see the scientists sitting in the audience here releasing the whole wheat genome sequencing, which made all of us so proud. I think this is again a very clear example of how we have not only contributed to technology development, but building capacities within our country so that our next generation of scientists, our young students, are all excited about it, because partnering in these international consortia are so important, because they give you a hands-on understanding of what really it means to not only do technology development, but collaborate globally. And for any technology revolution, global collaboration is very, very important to give us that leadership position. So genomics, we really have made a huge impact for ourselves, and we have many others, chickpea and looking at some of the important fungus, a huge lot of activities going on genomics. I can give a full lecture on this, and it will be another hour gone if I just keep speaking about our strengths in genomic studies and activities. Moving on into the technology revolution, then comes what we really are into currently, and that's the gene editing that we talk about. Now in this gene editing, if you see how it's moved, in early 20th century we had the whole area of mutagenesis, and then late 20th century it was transgenics, and in 21st century we're all talking about gene editing, and gene editing is really what is giving us the desired results. It is, we do have the latest tools, CRISPR, Cas9, and many of them are now being, so I think in India we are now moving from this being a tool to actually being applied, and I think that's really where we need to see. We do not have too many success cases within India to cite, but yes, I think we are confident that we've been able to now build capacities to be able to look at the tools. This again is a very important area where we have to ensure that our policies keep pace with our technology. It's important for us to have a very clear stand as to what our regulatory policy is going to be to see how gene editing moves forward. The Department of Biotechnology is already engaging with all these stakeholders to get this policy guideline in position. We hope with the discussions that we have, we should be able to have a clear position on this, because if we have a clear position, scientists know how to move forward with this technology. Globally, there is a lot happening in this. I hope we see India on this map very, very quickly, and we do not see a slide which does not have India position, because we are fairly advanced in it, and we would be able to see how we move on. We're talking about, as I said, Industry 4.0. Agriculture 4.0 is important and critical, and precision agriculture is definitely the key to this as we move on. Today we are looking at advisory services being made available, whether it's for increased crop yield, whether it's for the pest incidence part of it. You have one side the data science, the remote sensing, image processing, which are the various tools to it, and they're looking at the data inputs coming in from crop maps, yield data, weather data. So it's all about how artificial intelligence can now be used to make these predictions. This no longer is a tool, because if you look at it, we are now looking at this being applied, and there are groups who are actually working on it. There are people, precision farming has got huge potentials, and we know that what level of potential it has. And instead of actually managing an entire field based on only hypothetical data, you actually have some analytical tools which can guide you as to how you can do that, and that is the advantage which the farmer is facing into this. In fact, many of these tools are becoming attractive, of course, for our researchers, but it's also becoming attractive for the industry, for the startups, for the young startups. And what is most interesting is that they're becoming very attractive now for our investors. It's very interesting to see that you have investors now creating agri-entrepreneurship platforms where they're looking at investing in companies who are using AI-based tools. So if you can see an investor putting in his or her money into a particular technology, you surely know that that technology has a lot of potential to be able to take forward. We also know that the government has actually launched a lot of schemes, and many of these schemes are looking at soil health card is one of them. We do have, now this is in fact a slide from one of the startup companies which has created an AI tool to see how you could look at predictive soil health and various other monitoring mechanisms for the plant itself. So we do have these sort of technologies, and it's important to see what is the role which all the stakeholders, and I'm coming to the third vertical that I spoke about, how do you connect all these verticals? How do you see that they play a very important central role in trying to look at now the end point, and that is the commercialization of these technologies and market access. We have, as I said, many startups who are creating these sort of easy-to-use devices, who are also looking at the health assessment. We have, in fact, now from the Department of Biotechnology started, I'm sorry, I don't think you can read this slide well, but with the government of UK, we have partnered to what we are creating a farmer zone. A farmer zone is basically a data platform which is looking at smart agricultural technologies, in which you could then at one point give the farmer a complete package of advisories to be able to take it forward. The first sentinel is on potato, and we are doing it with the CPRI at Kasauli. We are working with the farmers in Punjab. We hope if that works well, that platform, because this is going to be based on taking all the IoT and new tools and putting the advisories through the cloud services, but it's also being important because we're trying to link it to the market aspect. And I think that's where currently the challenges are, because while we do have predictions on the farmers' field to say what their output is going to be, but it's important to see whether we can link it to where the market needs are and can we access it. And I think that for a country like India is very, very important, because only then would we be able to take the technology to the farmers. We have also started another initiative, and that is called Biotech Kisan, which is actually taking technologies to the farmers at their grassroots implementation level. We have 15 agroclimatic zones where we have identified these, and here this is a farmer-scientist interaction platform where we are connecting them with these technologies. So all newer interventions which would impact the farmer is what we are trying to see through these various technologies that we are connecting through the Biotech Kisan. And the reason why we are putting it in different agroclimatic zones is so that the needs for each of the climatic zones would be different, so the solutions which would be developed would be different as we move on. Having said all this and come to this, I think I would now just put my thoughts before you, sense of where is that implementation issue that we are now trying to discuss. If we have to move research to innovation to commercialization, we need to create an enabling ecosystem. And I think we have been working towards creating that. What are the key components of it? Most importantly, it is financing high-risk innovation, because many a times we feel high-risk innovation then becomes something which is only supported within the public sector because they feel public sector can do that. But is that sufficient? Do we not need to bring other players also into it who will give us wonderful results? So financing high-risk innovation across the enterprise, giving them access to risk capital, because if a startup has to move out, they need access to risk capital. And that's why a couple of minutes back I said it's very heartening to note now that you do have some of the investors who have started putting their investments into this. But for all this, we need to then connect all the stakeholders, but more importantly, provide mentorship. Building capacities at human resource level is one aspect, which is technical capacity, but mentorship on how you take technologies towards commercialization is a different set of mentorship that you need to provide. And most importantly, access to market. So I think that access to market is where we currently are trying to work out to see what are those technologies which we need to then take forward. And I think this paradigm shift and this changing ecosystem that we are looking on is a very, very essential factor that we need to recognize and see how we move it forward. It's also important to notice that agriculture as we stand today is no longer dependent only on those conventional technologies. It is now ready to adopt and adapt to those new technologies which I just spoke about. And for this, we earlier used to look at, as I said, that the public sector prerogative is now to look at just the discovery research, and then we have industry on the other hand, which is the delivery mechanism. I think these boundaries are totally getting blurred. It's important for us to blur these boundaries because there can be no boundaries if you have to look at co-development to take it forward. And it is this partnership which we have to then encourage to see how we take it forward. For this partnership to move forwards, it is very important that we have enabling policies. Why is it that we did not see, and even now we do not see that level of industry academia partnership happening is because we currently have some level of mistrust between the two sectors. And that mistrust can easily be solved if we give all our researchers, both in the public and the private sector, a wonderful set of instruments and tools which helps them to do that. And we, within the country today, are well poised to do it, and we have examples under which we've done. BIRAC is the public sector of the Department of Biotechnology, and it's played a key role in product development in all sectors. And agriculture is one sector in which we've again played a very important role. We spoke about those 4 boxes in the slide before, and BIRAC actually focuses on each one of them. Right from looking at funding innovation research at a student level. So we have actually student entrepreneurship, innovation research activities that we fund, taking it across the product value chain till it is ready for market. At each level there is a funding opportunity. We have incubators that we've supported, we have mentorship, and very recently we have now as government come forward by putting in fact a venture fund. So the moment the government came forward, and this was when the Startup Action Plan was announced by the government in 2016, there was a startup fund, but for a biotech we announced an ACE fund. So even if we put in a very small amount of fund and say it becomes a fund of fund with just 30% within the larger fund, the fact that the government has come forward and put its money is a huge risk mitigation for investors to take this forward. And I think this is really what has started mattering now. So to enable the innovation research, whether it goes from discovery to POC or high-risk discovery-led innovation, early stage, the connection between the academy and the industry to a great sense is the startup. Because the startup is ready to then actually put in that high-risk discovery research, move out of his or her lab into an incubation center, develop those technologies, incubate technologies, and then make them industry ready. And we have seen success in this happening. And as I said, the focus that we give from our department is to see how we can empower this enterprise by giving them the incubation space, giving them the IP and technology management instruments, giving them the resources, giving them the mentoring, and more importantly, enhancing their capacities in terms of regulatory needs, business mentorship needs, because that is what you need as you take it forward. We have set up bio-incubators. There are 35, out of which about 4 or 5 of them are agri-based incubators. But we also are very happy to see that we have a large number of startups who have come forward. And in fact, out of the 1,000 startups that we have funded, 400 of them have actually come in through the student entrepreneurship program. So it's very encouraging to see, and I know IARI has its own incubator zone. I know ICR has now got into this whole agri-incubators. I think this is a wonderful opportunity. Having incubators connected within institutes is probably the best example of taking it forward, because then you have both the technical and the research mentorship which goes along with it, while giving you an understanding of what the complexities of taking this technology forward are. We have looked at social innovation programs, and this is of course a precision agriculture program that we spoke about. These are some of the incubators that have been supported in different locations, which are already helping our startups to move forward. I spoke about the academy.
can see the kind of contribution that institution is making in building agriculture for India, and therefore hats off to this institute and the scientists who are here. Now, I was also looking to the, as I said, the problem Dr. Renisuru presented 1943, Bengal famine, and you could see the figure, everyone had stomach inside, going inside. That was a serious problem. Today we have the same problem, bulging stomach outside. So we are saying that there is a real, problem of obese, which is, many countries in the world are very, very seriously. And that's not and therefore when we mention the nutritional aspect, move to nutrition and give the balance. So moving from deficit to plenty, and as we say, the problem is always there, and there is no problem, we have nothing to really do. And therefore, this only indicates that we have now to move from production to a very balanced food in case of livestock feed, so that you are nutritionally balanced, and that's a very big challenge today. And that is where we are saying that, but all that development that has taken place, if you recall back to all these years that we are talking, these manifold increase, in the production of whether you talk of milk, you talk of fish, you talk of horticulture, you talk of, fruits and vegetables, you talk of even food grain. I mean, there has been remarkable progress. And the result has been that we felt very plenty in 3 stages of agriculture development that we took. Right from traditional agriculture, when only concern was produce, eat and sleep. We didn't bother the natural resource, we didn't bother the ecology, and therefore the ecology didn't bother us. We moved to second phase, that lasted in, let us say, up to 60s. Then we entered into second phase, we moved for production because that was the necessity. We came into green revolution by hook or crook. We really pushed the production up, and I just said that was needed. And we entered into the commercial phase of agriculture, and that led to production jump that we are now saying we have 284-85 million tons of food grain, 300 in horticulture, 170-80 million tons of milk, 12 million tons of fish, and then you say about 27-28 billion eggs. I mean, any commodity that you name, we are very rich in that. But this has led to, and then all kind of use of, and mainly because of commercial fertilizers, use of high yielding varieties, and increase in irrigation resources, we really made a very significant jump and fed the population. Now we are facing a very, very serious challenge in the third phase when we got into trips, intellectual property, world trade, all those restrictions, and then on top of that the climate change. Now we are looking for real sustainable agriculture, where you produce more, at the same time balance your natural resource, particularly land, water and biodiversity, where we have a tremendous degradation, and we have reached to the point of we have reached a point that if you don't really halt it, there is no question of then going back. We have already done a great deal of damage, and therefore this phase of agriculture where we are moving now has become very, very important, and that is what you were telling in the lecture, that we will move across through the technology that we have. Innovations and technologies have shown the way for all that we have taken, whether it's a genomics, biotechnology, genomics, gene editing, whatever you talk, has led to all this has happened. Those technologies have to address. I mean, all that has happened without, as I said, by default. But now by design, we have to see our innovations, our technologies, our knowledge that we are going to now put in place has to really take care of, because we are not so much pressurized for producing more, but we are highly pressurized for balancing the ecosystem, balancing the production with the resource that we are putting in or what we are taking out, and that balance has to be maintained if you are looking for something to be left for the prosperity of whom you are really looking for. We'll also therefore remember in her lecture she said very clearly that one of the very important aspects of the whole science development is to link all stakeholders. And when I say all stakeholders, that includes Kisan, that includes industry, that includes startups, and that includes all those are marketing people, all those who are engaged in producing and promoting the agriculture commodity and produce. And therefore, when you think now, the last slide that you said, that when you really think of the problem, really install that, half of the problem is resolved. And that is where you have to think that what we are going to do now has its effect on the overall development. As I said, today question is to balance these two, because we have already, more than any country in the world, we have done the greatest damage to our national heritage. As I said, these two, three things, where we have to really get into this whole process that we have to do. And while she was addressing to all these technological approaches, we have really moved from a very what we call the centered research of individual scientists and investors to multi-stakeholders, to country projects now. In the country, we are not only having within the country, but we have multi-country, multi-stakeholders, multi-agencies projects. And the whole idea is to inbuilt in the whole process a very strong component of social inbuilt mechanism, so that you are able to address the population for which you are working. And therefore, we are promoting science, through the technology business incubator 35, she said 28, 29, ICRI, about 60, 70 of the technology business incubators in countries, and 4, 5 linked to agriculture, that she said, and about 25, 30 here. 35, 40 have really made a good feeling of linking industries and partners, and particularly young entrepreneurs who can take up the job. They have done exceedingly well. And therefore, when you say the technology development and technology implementation, these are very distinct two major sentences, but they have to go together. And that is why I said a very strong emphasis that we should really not only be on the technology development, but also create ambience and partnerships, so that we are able to also disseminate or at least implement the technological part that we have done without. What is important that the agriculture of yesterday was very different than agriculture of today. And tomorrow's agriculture is going to be very difficult. You must have read in the newspaper, there has been, the Chinese have gone on this space and grew cotton. Cotton germinated on 19th January, if you read the newspaper, that is said. That means we have started cultivating ocean. We are trying to cultivate space, and we are already getting all kind of, vertical farming and the kind of land farming that you have. So you can see right from underground as deep as you can go up to the top, the sky that you have. You are creating avenues for that, but then the problem remains more or less the same. And therefore, design and think about as to what is to be done. The social component, what are the users, who are the different players, who are the stakeholders, how are they are going to really synergize and come at the same platform, so that they are able to not only think and do what they can do, but they can design really what future technology should be, what future innovation should be. And therefore, this is my appeal to all the agricultural young scientists. Of course, there are very senior, outstanding scientists and I won't call them old scientists, but I would certainly say that very outstanding scientists, because they might get annoyed, doing the world. Science never gets old, but they have really done very wonderful job in that. And therefore, this audience is very receptive, and they are getting that kind of training. They have to always see as to what they are doing. But in back of that, you always see what you are doing. What is the impact of that on the nature that you are creating, the resource that we have. So far, without caring for that till the second phase. Third phase is now challenging. Therefore, everything is now being designed to restore, reinvigorate, and sustain what we have. And I think I don't want to list the technology that are emerging, future technologies, but there are tremendous scope in any area that you talk. And therefore, all these modern tools and technologies are to be used. Science is developing very, very fast, but more important is how to use that science in developing social sector or human population. That becomes more important. And with these words, I think I once again thank Dr. Elisuru for his very brilliant exposition. And I very sincerely acknowledge my gratitude to the Director IARI for asking Dean of the Dean IARI, and all faculty of IARI, and my very distinguished colleagues sitting here from Shastri Singh and all. And top of that, family from Lal Bahadur Shastri ji is here. I think we are really grateful to her. We are so much sentimentally attached to this family that we feel he was the one who really sacrificed his life for farmers and the way he lived. So this really lecture reminds as to what kind of human being he was. And we only wish if you can clone and breed Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, the world stand corrected. And that should be one science which we can do. And most of the problems that you are talking to will automatically get resolved. With these words, I thank you once again, Renu, for being here and agree to this, and Director IARI, and all of you for listening to that lecture. And you can see, one thing I must stress here, you can see how strong, thickness and collaboration is between DST and there. And we only here, this is much and more promoted. And 1 + 1 should always make it 11. And science will grow. And I think agriculture will stand at the top of all this. I never forget saying, and I want to repeat that, I think agriculture contribution has not been less than any other science. I mean, we are feeding people, had we not fed, everything would have been washed away. And now we feel proud that we are well fed and we have what we want. Now we have to balance what we have by proper utilizing that. I wish you all the best and thank you for all being here for this brilliant lecture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It's time to honor the distinguished chairperson and eminent speaker of the session. So may I now request Dr. A.K. Singh, Director IARI, to kindly felicitate the chairman of the session, Dr. Punjab Singh ji, with a shawl and a memento as a mark of our affection and respect. Chairperson, Dr. Punjab Singh ji, to kindly present a shawl and memento to the eminent speaker of the session, Dr. Renu Suru, as a mark of respect and love. Ladies and gentlemen, before we conclude the program, I would like to invite Dr. Rashmi, Dean and Joiner of Education, for the formal vote of thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. Chairperson of today's function, most respected Dr. Punjab Singh, former DG ICAR, Director IARI, President NAS, New Delhi. Dr. Madam Renu, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, and Speaker of 49th Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture, member of the family of late Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji, Madam Neera Shastri Ji, Dr. A.K. Singh, Director IARI, distinguished dignitaries of the dais, Professor Anupam Verma, Advisor Anastu, Dr. S.N. Puri, ex-Vice Chancellor, CAU Infal, Dr. H.S. Gupta, ex-DG Visa and ex-Director IARI, Dr. R.B. Singh, ex-Director IARI, former Deans, Dr. R.K. Jain, Dr. Gautam, JDR, JD Extension, heads of the division, professors, faculty, students, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and honor to propose a formal vote of thanks at the end of this successful conclusion of the most prestigious
49th Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture Function organized today by the Indian Agricultural Research Institute. Besides the father of nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji, Shastri ji is another individual who symbolizes the dreams and desires, ambitions and aspirations of the most ordinary man. I pay my own humble tribute and respect to the memory of this great soul of India who sacrificed his own life in attempts to negotiate peace on our borders with our neighbor. On behalf of director, faculty, staff and students, and on my own behalf, I would like to sincerely thank Dr. Punjab Singh ji for so kindly accepting our invitation to chair this prestigious award lecture. We feel honored and inspired, sir, with your presence and for chairing this important event. Sir, with your concluding remarks, I am very sure the faculty, students are all young minds will take this as a future and in their future endeavors. I wish to convey our gratitude and sincere thanks to Madam Renu Swaroop for accepting our invitation to deliver this 49th Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture and joining us in paying our humble tribute to the memory of late Shri Shastri ji. Ma'am, your lecture will not only remain in our memories and shall continue to guide us, and in our future programs we will definitely take up all the points that you have raised. Members of the family of late Lal Bahadur Shastri have built and nurtured a very special and intimate relationship with this institute. And the scientists of ICR system in general, we as scientists owe a lot of our dedication to the cause of excellence in agricultural research and education to Shastri family. On behalf of the institute, I would like to record our sincere thanks to Madam Meera Shastri ji for her love, affection and presence for this prestigious award lecture. To Dr. A.K. Singh, I owe my special thanks for his confidence in me and providing administrative and logistic support. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to organize this function so successfully. I record my sincere thanks and appreciation for all our invited guests for so kindly responding to our invitation and for their gracious presence with us. I express my sincere thanks to the directors of the sister institution. I see Dr. Kuldeep Singh, Director NVPGR here. ICL Institutes, Joint Directors, Project Directors, heads of the divisions, professors, faculty, other staffs, students of IARI for attending this Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial Lecture. I extend thanks to the represented members of the press, media, Doordarshan for responding to our invitation and for covering this prestigious lecture. Grateful acknowledgement is also recorded here for the services given by several of my colleagues in the faculty, staff of the postgraduate school, students, volunteers, and the technical, administrative, and supporting staff from the directorate, different divisions, and this auditorium for their invaluable dedicated contributions behind the scene for successful organization of this function. Once again, thank you one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you. I request all of you to kindly join for a tea outside. Thank you.